Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Ryan Morris, Executive Director here with Legal Shield. And on behalf of Mr. Jeff Dell, on behalf of Home Office, on behalf of myself, on behalf of the rest of the organization, we all want to thank you for watching this video and thank you for your contributions, to empowering families with this membership and to empowering our organization by stepping up and being a leader. And that's exactly what I want to talk to you guys about today, is stepping into more of a leadership role versus just a role based on productivity and sales. Okay, so we're going to be going over a couple of things here today. We're going to be going over a couple of skill sets, a couple of new skill sets that you're going to need to know in order to become independent and run your own business. We're going to go over, the mindset of what it takes to be a leader in this organization. And obviously, there are going to be so many different things that you're going to be learning down the road. So I'm going to do my best to get you exactly what you need to know today. And then we actually have a very special guest who was willing to come and do this training. And we're going to be going over the cycle of leadership as well. So the first thing that I want to dive into is what it really means to become a leader. And if you're watching this video, if you're a leader, you should have a notebook and you should have a pen with you, because you're going to want to write down everything that I go to, tell you today. And as I'm going through this, you're going to see me looking down a couple of times. I have extensive amounts of notes that I want to go through with you here today. Obviously, I'm not going to have time to go through all of it, but I'm going to give you the meat and bones of exactly what it is that you need to know. So first of which, what does it mean to be a leader? I think that the most important characteristic of a leader, right, is to be able to handle your own problems, okay? Because what I'm going to be completely honest, if you weren't already briefed on this, Legal Shield is not a perfect company. Network marketing is not a perfect business model, okay? And there is no such thing as a perfect person, okay? So Legal Shield employs people, right? As independent associates are people. The attorneys that we're partnered with are people. So if you're expecting everything to go perfectly, then I'm here to tell you that it's not going to go perfectly, and it's not going to go the way that you expect things to go all the time. All right. So the way it's going to go is you're going to encounter problems, and it's really not about what happens to you. It's about what you do about what happens to you, right? Jim Rohn is famous for saying it's not we all have the same wind blown upon us, but it's not the blowing of the wind. It's the set of the sail. Right. So we're going to teach you how to set your sail accordingly today to make sure that you know how to deal with the problems that you encounter in your business. Okay. The first thing I want to talk about with that is that you don't want to be a firefighter. Okay. You don't want to go around and try to put out every little fire there is in your organization and in your business. Okay. You don't want to do that, right? You don't want to fix every problem. You want to manage the problem. Okay. Because some things that happen are going to be some things that you can't avoid. Right? Maybe a customer is having an issue with their membership. Maybe an associate is having an issue with another associate. Maybe something like that is going on, but it's not your job to go and fix the situation. It's your job to manage the situation, and your responsibility to make sure that you see through that it gets handled in the way that it needs to be handled. Okay. And problems are natural. It's a way of life, right? It's a beautiful thing. It's a part of growing. It's a part of what we do, right? We are a people-based business. Okay. And I'm going to dive into more of that as well. Just take a sip of coffee here. Okay. Second thing I want to go over is, as a leader, you need to have a positive self-image. And, the way to fix your self-image, the way to constantly improve your self-image is through personal development, is through listening to people, the philosophies of the people like Jim Rohn, of Darren Hardy, of Eric Worre, of all of these people that have just an absolute wealth of knowledge on how to better yourself, and how to better your relationships, how to better your finances, how to better all of that. Okay. And taking positive steps forward in all of those areas in your life is going to give you that positive self-image. All right. So make sure that you're starting every single day off right. Make sure you're starting off with personal development. Make sure you're starting off looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, you know what? I might not be perfect, but I'm good enough. I know where I'm going with this thing. I know my definite purpose in Legal Shield. I know my definite purpose in life. And if you don't know it, it's okay. Tell yourself, you know what? I'm going to figure it out. Wherever I am going, it is with intention. It is with purpose. It is to make the world a better place. It is to provide for my family, to provide for my future family. Whatever your why may be for you, you need to be obsessed in fulfilling that why. Okay, so a positive self-image is something that people want to be a part of. A positive self-image, a person with confidence, people follow people that know where they want to go. Okay, so if you don't know where you're going, right, that's kind of like captaining a ship and not knowing how to drive the ship, right? It doesn't matter if you have the Titanic, if you don't have the right crew, it's going to sink, right? So what we want to do today is we're going to go over a couple of philosophies as far as the mindset goes. We're going to go over a couple of new skills, as I said before, and we're going to get you as polished as possible on that. So I'm just going to pull up a couple of little things on my computer here real quick. The first thing that I want to go over with you as far as the skill set goes is I want to go over the three-way call with you. Okay, so you've already learned about doing a three-way call on the end of where you have a prospect on the line and you are now bringing in a third party. What we're going to teach you today is how to be that third party. Okay, so after you've already been properly edified to the prospect and after the prospect has been properly edified to you over the phone, step one, write this down, okay? There are 6 steps to having a good three-way call, to having a successful three-way call, okay? And step number 1 is to build rapport. And when I say build rapport, I mean build a genuine friendship with the person on the phone. Find something in common, right? And if you're kind of at a loss of what to say or how to build rapport or how to start, a relationship over the phone within a couple of seconds, go off of this right here. Go off of form, okay? Ask them about their family, their occupation, recreation, motivation. Ask them about their family. Ask them about what they do for work. Ask them about what they do for fun. Ask them about what motivates them, what gets them fired up, what gets them excited about life. Not only are you going to find something in common, not only are you putting them in the spotlight and making the call about them, but now you're also uncovering a couple of hot buttons as well. Maybe you can discover their why in the conversation so that you can use that in your conversation when you're answering their questions about Legal Shield. Okay? Step number 2 is a phrase that I like to use. I say, well, Cheyenne told me that you were pretty excited about what we're working on. Did they send you a video with the information by chance? Did they have you come to a meeting by chance? Whatever it is that that prospect has done before, you just want to verify that they've seen the information, because at this point, if they haven't seen the information, it's really hard to answer questions that they don't even have a chance at asking yet, right? It's hard to, ask somebody, well, do you have any questions on a topic that they haven't even explored yet, right? That'd be like coming up to me, right, as a quantum physics professor and asking me, well, did you have any questions on what you saw with quantum physics? And I have no idea what it is. And I'm like, yeah, what's quantum physics? Tell me more about it, right? So instead of them explaining to me what quantum physics is, they're going to want to direct me to the information, because I could only imagine how difficult it is explaining to somebody who's brand new and learning about quantum physics, okay? So step number 3 is you want to answer their questions, right? After saying, well, they told me that you're pretty excited about what we're working on. Do you have a chance to see the information? Do you have a chance to see the video? Great. What kind of questions could I answer for you? Right? At that point, you answer their questions, obviously. Okay. And step number 4 is when you're answering their questions, you want to answer it with a story. Well, what's the membership? What's this part of the membership do here? Right? Tell them a story about somebody has used that part of the membership. Right? Well, I just don't know if it can work for me. I don't have enough time. Well, you know what? I completely understand. I actually didn't have a lot of time either. Just giving you an example. When I first started the business too, I actually, was running 2 businesses, was getting ready for my first season of football. So I didn't have time, whether I was in the kitchen making some food for myself, or whether I was in the gym, or whether I was in my office working on my other 2 businesses, I really didn't have time either. But what I found was that Legal Shield was a business that didn't really require to utilize my time, because the time that is utilized is time watching the video, time at events, time on calls, right? Things that I'm already doing anyways that don't already interfere with my schedule, right? So intertwining a personal story or maybe a story of somebody else into the answer of their question, okay? Now, step number 5, after you've gotten all of their questions answered, you're going to want to do this. You're going to want to ask them closing questions, okay? And these are just a couple of examples of closing questions. Do you see an opportunity for yourself, right? Something that's not so direct that it's stepping on their toes or making them feel uncomfortable, but something that's really soft, right? Like a soft close. Do you see an opportunity for yourself with this? Is this something that you could see yourself doing? That's the most common one that I personally use. Is this something that you could see yourself doing, right? Because at that point, they're either going to give you a yes or a no. And at that point, you can identify what their objection is and go from there. Okay. Now, step number 6. This is the last step of the three-way call. You're going to do one of two things. Okay. If they have said, yes, I'd like to get started, help them sign up. Do not get off the phone until that prospect has signed up into the system. Do not leave it up to your new associate to do that to help them sign up if they're brand new. Okay, because at that point, the last thing you want to happen is to lose that prospect because the new associate doesn't know how to sign them up. Okay, and if it's their first time doing a three-way call and the person's ready to sign up, you can't expect them to know it, right? You can delegate a task, but you can't delegate the responsibility of that task. So for example, and that's a leadership principle, you can delegate the task of your new associate signing that person up, but you can't delegate the responsibility of whether that actually gets done or not. Okay, so what you need to do is teach your new associate while you're getting that person signed up how to get new people signed up. Okay, and that's another principle we're going to touch on here in a second. And if they don't sign up on the spot, you're going to want to do what's called BAM FAM. BAM FAM is to book a meeting from a meeting. Okay, so if they don't sign up over the phone, maybe they need some more information. Maybe they need to meet some people. Book them into a PBR, book them into a briefing, book them into another three-way call. Do not get off the phone until you know when the next point of contact with that person is and with the associate that you have on the phone as well. Okay, so that is the three-way call, guys. That's just a very quick outline of it. Next on the list, sponsoring new associates. This is so crucial. Follow this principle right here, okay? Leader of one, leader of many. If you can't lead one, you can't lead any. So when you have a new associate who is signing up for Legal Shield, okay, if you can't lead that new associate in the right direction, if you can't properly help them launch their business, you can't help anybody launch their business if you can't do it with one person at a time. So what I'd encourage you to do after you listen to this call is I would get your new associate in your organization and launch them properly. And here's how you do it. Okay. Number one, you're going to want to get them on the training video. Absolutely. Right away. Okay. DCS powerteamelite.com. Get them on that training video, get them to take notes, and get them to get back with you at a scheduled day and time, preferably the same day that they get started, so that you can go through their list of people with them. Okay. So step number one, get them on the training video. Step number two, meet with them either over a Zoom call or in person and get their business launched officially. Help them go through their first 30 people, right? Help them find, their first associate, their first 2 easiest customers. And step number 3, guys, is level them up. Okay. And here's how we're going to level them up. You're going to find their easiest associate, their easiest membership, and one more piece of business. Now, when they get started, you want them to have 2 stories. Okay. Story number 1 needs to be about the product. Okay. So when they get started, get them to call the law firm, get them to have their identity protection set up, get them to get their credit score, right? Get them to call the law firm and ask why it's important to have a will done. Get them to do something with their membership. Because if the associate quits and they're sold on the membership, they're going to stay with the membership even if they decide not to do the business anymore. Okay. And retention is very important in this business. We're doing this to get memberships out to families so they can be protected. Okay. That's story number 1. Story number 2 is their financial story. And that's where we get them leveled up as quickly as possible. Okay. If you've got a story about using the membership, you've got a story about making money with the business, you got a damn powerful associate right there. Okay. So when you sponsor your new associate, get them on the training. Okay. Get them to attack their list with you and get them their 2 stories and get them leveled up ASAP. No questions asked. Okay. So those are the 2 skill sets that I wanted to teach you today. The last thing that I want to teach you is a philosophy. Okay. We're not creating a stream of income here. We're creating a team of income here. Okay. So income teams are better than income streams. And here's why. When you have a new associate, okay, and here's where the philosophy entails into this. When you have a brand new associate and you do all of the work for them and you run through their list, you tap through their network and they don't learn anything of how to do anything, you have just created an income stream. Okay. But when you can raise that person up to your level of competence, your level of ability, your level of confidence, okay, now you have an income team, right? It's like giving a person a fish, right? You give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach him how to fish, he eats for a lifetime. Okay. So I want you to build your foundation of your business upon that principle right there. Okay. So for your top 20% of people that come into your organization, you're going to be spending most of your time with them because they're going to be producing and reproducing 80% of the business that goes on in your organization. The other 80%, you want to spend about 10 to 20% of your time with. And that time is going to be spent, promoting the team calls, promoting the weekly meetings, which, by the way, you need to be going to your weekly meeting, okay, in your designated area. Go to LegalShieldCalendar.com to find your weekly meeting, okay? And you just need to plug them into the system, plug them into the team calls, plug them into the weekly meeting, and then they will decide when they are ready to self-identify themselves into your top 20% of your organization. Okay, so just remember, income teams, not income streams. Okay, let me see if there's anything else that I want to go over here. I think that's just about it. So, all right, guys, I know this is a bit of an informal video, if you will, but this is going to get the job done. If you have taken notes on everything that you've heard so far, you're on the right track, okay? If you can take this information and apply it into your business today, you're gonna do great things, okay? If you can take control of your own business, if you don't need your upline to do three-way calls for you anymore, you don't need your upline to do weekly meetings for you anymore, or to do the briefings, or to do the PBRs for you, or the PZCs. If you can learn how to present in that fashion, if you can learn how to do three-way calls by yourself, you are now independent. Now, keep this in mind. That does not mean that you excommunicate your upline. That does not mean that your upline does not help you build your business anymore. That simply means that you are in control of your own destiny at this point. That means you've made the decision, hey, you know what? I am the captain of my own ship. I control my own destiny. Okay, but just remember that this is a people business and people want to be led. They don't want to be managed. Okay, so never get mad at your money, meaning never get mad at associates who aren't doing what you expect them to do. Okay, just love on everybody. Just how it is. Okay, lift people up. There's two ways to have the biggest building in town. You can either build the biggest building or you can tear everybody else's down. Just remember that when you're building your business. We build the people and the people build the business. Okay, so I want you to keep that in mind. We are developing leaders. Okay, your level of freedom in this business will be determined by how many leaders you have in your organization. If you can find just one leader, one true leader, one person who truly is independent, who truly does, set their goals, reach their goals, do what they're going to say, then you're going to have a fantastic organization. Okay, so that's all for this segment, guys. Next we're going to have Mr. Rob Sperry, which I've actually pre-recorded our interview with him. So I'm going to go ahead and add that into this video. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you take an extensive amount of notes on this part that's about to come up. I'm really excited, and we'll see you in just a second. So we're going to transition into the last part of this video segment. We actually have a very, very, very special guest that is going to come on and do this with us. He's a longtime friend of mine, Mr. Rob Sperry. If I listed all of his accolades, it would be an absolute book. It'd probably be another 20-minute video within itself, but just a couple of them so you know. He's multiple seven-figure earner in network marketing. I actually had the opportunity to work together with him on a previous venture. And what he does now is he actually consults network marketing companies. Like, they bring him in and he gives them consultation on how to run their businesses, how to grow their organizations. He's the author of a recent ebook called From 1 to 1,000. Highly recommend picking that up. Featured in the Networking Times, responsible for this is crazy. He's actually responsible for the largest merger of two network marketing companies in history. So he took a huge billion-dollar company, took another multi-million-dollar company, and he morphed them into one. And he is responsible for that. Voted #1 network marketing coach in the world. That is an absolutely huge deal. And we're just very blessed to have him on here with us. He actually completely volunteered his time to do this training free of charge, no strings attached, no nothing. So I'm going to step on out of the way and let Mr. Rob Sperry take over from here.
Well, thanks for having me on. It sounds like you just read my bio from what my mom would write. So I apologize, or I apologize for anyone that had to hear all of that. But at the same time, grateful for you, Ryan. It's been fun working with you. It's been fun to get to know you. It's been fun to see your leadership grow. We've talked on and off, just different topics, different leadership topics, just different things. You know, in reality, I love how coachable and teachable you are, where you'll call up and say, okay, I feel like I'm reaching the next level of leadership. Now what can I do? How can I do better? How can I be better? And so we talked about this specific topic is you asked me, you know, some good questions, some things to maybe teach on, some questions that, you know, that I went through maybe, as well as everybody's going to have these questions at some point. So I'm going to give you a little bit of that conversation that we had and give you this teaching lesson. Is your goal in network marketing is to create leverage. And we know that, but we get network marketing. As we get network marketing, we start out and we're naturally followers. And everybody's got to be a follower. Every great leader was a follower once. So we start out as hopefully good followers. Hopefully we become great followers, where we do what we're supposed to do or we need to do, because there's always somebody who's had success inside of our organization that can pave the way. Now, maybe it's not the exact way. Maybe it's not exactly our style. Maybe it's not exactly our personality, but they've been successful and we can apply at least the principles. Maybe the techniques are a little bit different. An example, my mentor, one of the strongest type A personalities you've ever met, actually the strongest type A personality I've ever met ever in any industry, he would call people up and he'd say, hey, you're signing up, you're doing this business with me. Well, the principle was the world loves boldness. It makes people curious. It's contagious. But the technique, I'm not going to call people up and say, hey, you're joining me, we're doing this right now. That's not me. That's not my personality. So you have to learn that as you're becoming a great follower. From there, you transition and you become a leader of followers. So on a scale 1 to 10, maybe your followers are a 3. Maybe they're a 4. Maybe they're a 5 with trickled in with 1 or 2 6s and 7s. But I'm just saying on average where they're at. We got to start out somewhere. So we start out as a follower. We transition into a leader of followers. And we look at those followers and we say, okay, great, they're there. Now we want to transition into becoming a better leader of followers. So that starts with you. Because if on a scale 1 to 10, as John Maxwell says, he talks about the law of the lid, if your leadership skill set is a 6, good luck attracting 7s. Good luck attracting 8s. Good luck attracting 9s. Now, it's possible. It's possible because maybe they just see themselves of, hey, I can go do this. I can go do it solo. I can make this happen. Or I'm going to work with one of your other leaders in your organization. Or I'm going to work directly with the company. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying it's very difficult. If you're a 6, it's very difficult to attract 8s, 9s, and 10s. So you need to make sure that the first thing you're doing is you're developing yourself so that you can be able to develop these followers into becoming better followers and eventually leaders, so that you can also attract better leaders. I'm not talking leaders inside of network marketing. I'm just talking in general, just people that are leaders or have higher leadership levels. So now we transition. We talked about being followers, better followers, then leaders, then better leaders of followers. So now maybe on average, your followers are closer to a 6. And you're starting to arrive and you're starting to have success. And so at that point, what your goal is to become the face of your organization. Now, what do I mean by that? What does become the face of your organization? Well, Ryan could start out and somebody says, you know, at the very beginning, oh yeah, Rob, you know, who's your upline? It's Rob. Rob's my upline. Well, that means that Ryan has not become the face of his organization yet. You want to become that face of the organization where they're so confident in you and they're so excited to be associated with you and your leadership skill set that they say, Ryan is my leader. That's becoming the face of your organization. Well, it doesn't stop there. It's just beginning. From there, your goal is to ultimately become the leader of leaders. That is one of the most difficult things to do, because sometimes most people get caught up in being leaders of followers, where they either haven't increased their leadership skill set or their egos get involved. Ego stands for everyone's got one. Your ego is not your amigo. There's lots of different ways you can say ego, but people, their egos get involved. And so what happens is they want all the attention. They want all the recognition. They say they don't, but their actions contradict it. So now they're doing every single opportunity call or every single training call, and they're doing every single meeting. And now they've made themselves the issue where they've become a great leader of followers. But there's a reason why their organization gets to a point where it can't grow anymore. There's a reason why now they wonder why my business isn't growing. Why do I have no other leaders? If I could just find one or two me's, then this business would happen. And it's because you're crippling your organization. It's because your skill set, your leadership has stopped growing. It's because in many times, not always, your ego is involved. It is very difficult to let go. And what do I mean by that? I remember I felt like I'd finally figured it out, and I'd become a top recruiter in the industry, and I'm going and I'm consulting for this company that had done $4 billion in sales, and they asked me to create this entire new brand, almost like a new company. And I start out and I'm a consultant and the leading distributor for this company. I'm going to go recruit all these people and I'm going to call them. And I thought about it and I said, okay, I can do that. But this time I need to do it this different. This time I need to create more leverage. This time I need to become a leader of leaders more so than last time. So it was painful because after doing meetings, and I told these individuals, especially the influential leaders, that I was going to work with them. I was going to do every single Zoom they had, every single meeting they had, take every single call they had, the top leaders. And then after a month, I was going to help them only with validations of their most successful people, but they were going to utilize their downlines and for three-way calls, even for their personal contacts, because I wanted them to learn how to become leaders. I wanted them to step up. And then when we did presentations, Zoom, or whether it was in person, I would have them start to do the presentation. And I told this to them from the beginning, so they started preparing themselves. So yeah, they had an outline on what to do. And yeah, during the first month, they started to share their story and maybe bits and pieces. But I said, I'm going to come just to validate what you do, but I'm not going to be the issue. It's not going to be about me. Do you know how painful that was? Why was it painful? Because you have me at that point, who's been in the network marketing industry full-time at that point for 7 years. I sucked when I started, but after 7 years, I could present pretty well. And now I've got a newbie that's been in the industry for 1 month that doesn't know how to communicate the information as well as I do, doesn't understand the psychology, and it's so hard. You're just sitting up there and you're like, oh no, you shouldn't have said this. You should have said this. Now they're going to think this. You messed up here. And I found that at the beginning, it actually slowed my business down. And it was hard because I took 2 steps backwards and I almost couldn't handle it, but I kept that vision. And I had a couple other leaders that were close on sales. And months later, my team absolutely destroyed everybody because it wasn't about me. It wasn't about me getting on every Zoom and Rob doing it. It wasn't about me doing every single meeting. I'd empowered them and I had taught them how to do trainings, but then I still helped them. And I empowered them to become leaders of leaders. And I started to allow them to grow, and I started to help them to grow, and I started giving them feedback on everything they did. So I didn't just leave them, I supported them, but it's like a baby walking. If a baby's learning how to walk, and every single time the baby starts to get up, no, don't fall. Let me pick you up because I can walk faster than you, I can run faster than you, and oh, I don't want you to get hurt. The baby's never going to learn. But in the end, if you let the baby learn, eventually the baby's going to learn how to walk, and the baby's going to learn from its mistakes, and you have to be there as a parent to teach them, to nurture them. That's the same thing in your organization. You need to make sure you don't cripple your organizations. Otherwise, you're going to get to the point where, yes, you've become a great leader of followers. A lot of people can do that are ambitious, but very few can become leaders of leaders. A lot of people can become the face of their organization where they say, Rob is my upline or Ryan is my upline. But when you've truly arrived is when you can have multiple degrees of separation. When you can have somebody that's 6 generations deep and somebody says, who's my upline? And they say, Joe Schmo's my upline, and they're in your 6th generation. And that is leverage. And when the person that, is below that can say maybe 8th generation, that somebody else is. The more degrees of separation you have of a leader where somebody, the team can say, this is my leader, the more you've arrived. And if you can start thinking that way as you arrive and start having that long-term vision, you're going to be successful. So the question is where do I start? You start just like I said. You apply the principles and you become the best freaking follower you possibly can. And then from there, you become a leader of followers. You want to become the brand. You want to become the face of your organization. You want to arrive where they don't say that superstar millionaire is their upline. They're proud to say you are their upline. You are their leader. And from there, you start to empower them to get better. You start to work on yourself. You start to create more credibility. And then from there, that's when you start to transition into becoming a leader of leaders, where you push from, you still lead from the front, you're still always recruiting, but you push from behind, of empowering them, of helping them to become better, of helping them to develop, of helping them to have success, of helping them to be the story, of helping them and their teams to create new stories. So that 6 months down the road, there are no new stories. I know so many companies where they're still selling the same story from 6 months ago, from a year ago. So my question is who's the newest, hottest story? Because you've got to find every single month a new story, a new person, a new potential leader that you're empowering to become better than you. My mentor, he's made over $30 million in the network marketing industry. He told me right when I started, you're going to be 10 times better than I am. And he kept saying it to me. And even when I'd finally reached a pretty good rank or level and my income was decent after about a year in the industry, he said, all these guys here that have made 10 and $20 million in this industry, you're better than them. I don't think I was better than them, but it was cool that he saw me for what I could be. He empowered me. I remember being in the industry and we show up to this meeting and there's 70 people that show up. It's in Vegas. We live in Utah. It's a 6-hour drive. So we drive to Vegas and they're all there to see my mentor. He's made $30 million. He gets up, introduces me, has me do the entire presentation. At the end, he validates what I said for 5 minutes. And I'm sitting there wanting to pee my pants because I'm so scared. But it was a learning lesson. He knew everyone was there to see him, but he said, if it's all about me, if I'm the issue, eventually your business won't keep growing. You need to keep empowering the new person, the newest leader, and teaching them how to become better, how to become the leader in the face of the organization, how to empower other people to become the face of their organization. And so those are some of my simple tips. Everybody knows the power of personal development. You know the power of events. You know the power of plugging in. You know the power of taking massive action so that you can create those greater skill sets. You know the power of massive action so you can make more new contacts. You can make more money so you can create more credibility. But I wanted to go just a little bit deeper on some of the leadership principles and the transitions throughout your organization. Anything else, Ryan, that I missed that you'd like me to cover?
That was literally 10 times more than I could have even asked you to cover. That was incredible. I think that's exactly what everybody needed to hear.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you, and I hope that all of you can apply it. Remember, it's a journey. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight.
Definitely not. Thank you so much, Rob. I really do appreciate it. All of us do on behalf of everybody watching this video right now.